Since 1998, Rwanda's national development policies have been hinged or guided by the Vision 2020, which sets forth the country's aspiration to transform to a middle-income country or a middle-income population by the year 2020. Increasing access and informed use of financial services for the people or the Rwandan community is essential to achieving this end. A warm welcome to yet another edition of the BQ with me, Imi Molekatete, and today we indulge into matters of broadening the financial literacy of Rwandans. And joining me on the set is Isaac Nkusi, Zirimwabagabo, the Chief Executive Officer of STP, Success Through Perspective. A warm welcome to the BQ.
Thank you very much.
Start by telling us how Success Through Perspective, or how your company is going to help, especially in transforming this financial literacy, financial education, and increasing awareness and knowledge of financial services to the Rwandan community.
Well, I think that one of the first things that my company is attempting to do, that I'm attempting to do with Success Through Perspective, is educate us all on how to manage our own finances better. One of the things that we are trying to put forward is that we can all become more financially secure. We can create wealth for our own families and ourselves if we only but learn how to use what we have more efficiently. So the core message that I'm trying to deliver with Success Through Perspective is if we change the way we think about the little money we have, if we start to spend it more efficiently, then we can learn how to save, spend, and invest better.
When you talk about spending, we spend, oh my God, we spend. Paycheck after paycheck,
yes.
Little money that comes in, little income, everything we want to spend. But at the end of the day, we want to save as well. And now you're bringing the notion, or we see that your company is driven by the spending habits that will also, at the end of the day, guide our saving. Please explain how that correlates.
Well, our ability to save is directly tied to our spending habits. If we're wasteful or inefficient with the way that we spend, then we're not going to be able to save because our income will be depleted before the month ends. And that's how we end up with this hand-to-mouth or paycheck-to-paycheck living. Sure. Not only that, but we end up most likely building a culture of debt, because the month is still there, but my money's finished, and I have to borrow money from someone in order for me to fill in the gap. Which means that I've actually spent more than I've earned this month, which is very, very devastating. What my company is trying to do to rectify this is say, look, if we spend together in what I'm calling Rwanda's first spending cooperative, if we spend together, then we can access discounts.
What are we spending on? That is my question.
Common commodities. So if it's cooking gas, if it's groceries, if it's laundry and dish soap, simple, common expenses that all of us share. We all have these expenditures. We can take this spending to a loyalty service provider who will give us great service, great quality, but for a discounted wholesale rate. And that discounted amount, we can start putting into our savings accounts to help us increase our ability to save while maintaining the same lifestyle.
Isaac, let me put this into perspective.
Yeah.
I'm a person who earns 350,000, not saying that's what I earn, but I'm just giving an example.
Yes.
I earn 350,000 Rwandan francs. I have 2 little children. I have a modern house. How would you advise that person on how to spend and how to save their money?
The first thing I'd love to do with a person in this situation is to kind of look at their spending habits. First of all, where do they live? What type of house do they live in? What lifestyle do they journal their expenses? Do you have do you know where your money goes? Because the first thing that you want to do when you want to manage your money is evaluate how you use it. So that would be the first thing. Then the second thing, I would strongly encourage this person to take 10% of what they make and put it into a saving and investment program. 5% into saving and 5% into investing. And I can get into why that separation in a little bit. But the third thing that I would do is tell them to organize, again with this spending cooperative point of view, on the things that they spend on in this household. If it's cooking gas, if it's groceries, if it's fuel, whatever it may be, so that they can spend together and access discounts for whatever it is that they're doing, and then start looking at how to increase their income. because spending comes first. How you use your resources comes first before looking to increase your resources.
Yeah, sure. Now, data from the 2012 Financial Capabilities Survey, FinCap survey, suggests that the following key findings with respect to Rwandans' financial capability around cash flow management, planning for the future, and experience with financial services show that less than half Rwandans budget, okay? Running short of money is very common, mostly due to poverty or employment status. Rwandans tend to rely on mutual support and informed credit. Rwandans mostly understand the importance of planning. Then 60% of Rwandans report that they save only if they have money left after their expenses. Yes. And more than half Rwandans, okay, do not report. The reason why I'm raising this, half of Rwandans save or invest in the form of non-financial assets. The reason why I'm raising this is because we tend to spend a lot.
Yes.
Okay, and at times some of us don't know what exactly we should spend on. For someone who's watching right now, how do you advise them on some of the investment vehicles, or what exactly they should spend on when it comes to spending, and then at the end of the day being able to save?
Yes. I think that one of the first things that we need to do, again, success through perspective, is change our point of view when it comes to spending our money or even investing it. Because we need to learn how to purchase income earning assets. We first need to learn how to save. Then we need to learn how to purchase income earning assets before we buy or pay for liabilities. And speaking plainly, basically what I'm talking about is you need to be able to buy an asset that is going to give you money. Yes. Like a treasury bill, for example, that Rwanda has been, the public has been very excited about. Now, the treasury bill is an income earning asset because you buy it and it's going to give you more than what you put in.
Sure.
And we want to be able to buy income earning assets before we take a loan to furnish the house or buy a car on loan. We want to be able, because those things are liabilities, they take money away from you. So again, with the farming analogy, you want to plant seed first, get harvest, and then spend. Not spend the seed that should be planted, right? And that's kind of the point of view we're trying to address.
Are Rwandans spending money they have? Hold that thought. We take a very short break and we'll be right back, still on the BQ. Stay here with us. Financial literacy is the topic for today. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm still Ime Molekatete, still on the BQ, still with Isaac Nkusi, still talking about financial literacy matters. And before we broke off, I'd asked him, are Rwandans spending what they have, or are they spending the money they have?
Rwandans, like almost anyone, anywhere, spends more than what they have. If we don't have a plan. That's the status of people who have an income of some sort, but don't plan for it. They will tend to spend more than what they have. That's why we have this credit-based society, credit-based culture. So we do, again, like you stated, the statistics from FinScope telling us that most of Rwandans plan to save after they spend, which is... You
know the reason why I'm asking that? The love we have for cars and for Porsche cars, the love we have for mortgages and what particular house it should look like, even the love for even just such screens. Someone wants to buy a big screen but they don't have that money and they'll go and get a loan and something like that. How sustainable is that? It's
not very sustainable, especially because, again, if we don't have the backing of financial literacy when we borrow, there's a very strong risk of borrowing more than you can afford and borrowing inappropriately. Borrowing seed before you plant, or seed for eating as opposed to seed for planting. So it's very important for us to realize that we need to live within our means, if not below our means, in order to afford ourselves some principal money that we can invest, some capital. It's so much better for us to grow a discipline of managing what we have and using that to save and invest before borrowing somebody else's resources to save and invest, whether formally or informally.
Your notion seems to be different from the saving diet or the financial diet that we are told by most of the saving programs, do this, don't do the other. Eat this, don't eat the other. How can someone spend and still live their lifestyle?
I wouldn't say that somebody can have both their cake and eat it too. I wouldn't say that, but there is a marriage of having the cake and eating it.
Okay.
And that marriage is, again, like I mentioned before, spending together so that you can still afford certain types of expenditures, certain common type of expenditures, but also an evaluation of what you use. The problem with diets, just like the problem with strict budgeting when it comes to money management, is that they're not sustainable. If you start it, it's difficult to maintain a very tight budget.
Yep.
So what we recommend people do is simply plan their money better, manage their money better, think through what they need versus what is luxury, and squeeze money out of the common things using discounts, spending corporative discounts. And so that's what I'd recommend. I think that a plan for your money is a lot more sustainable than a tight, rigid budget, because at some point you want to spoil yourself and you fall off the wagon.
Tell me about it. At times it comes in and you feel like, man, I work for this money, so let me spend it away.
Here's another point that I love to address on the subject, is that celebration is a very, very important part of money management.
Okay.
Being able, having money planned and set aside to celebrate your hard work is extremely important for sustainability.
It's not easy to limit myself on how much I'm going to celebrate on myself, because it may not be enough.
If you make a plan and you make it an automatic plan, which I strongly recommend, then you will have funds set aside, rigid funds for celebration. Now, you can't mix and match. And we want people to understand the reason for this, the value of doing this, because that's the only way to continue it indefinitely, is to understand why you're doing it.
You know, Isaac, there have been many programs that have sprouted up on financial education from way back as early as 2005. There have been many programs. What different thing are you bringing on the table that will help us to be effective money managers?
My added value, from my point of view, really is that we don't simply train people on how to manage their money. We go further than that and provide actual tools, financial tools, consulting tools, products that you will actually use. We have savings programs that you can start using right after we're done training you. We have spending cooperatives that we have ready for you when you realize what your common expenses are, in order for you to get discounts. All these are personalized programs that you get the money to for investing in them, for putting your plan into them. It's not a pool program where somebody else or my company accesses these funds for you.
Okay.
So I think that the added value, the difference that my company brings, is we pair both the education and the actual solution, so that somebody walks away with a plan for the next 3, 5, 10, 40 years on how to manage their money. Sure.
You know, foundation is very important. Is there any way you're advocating for this to be included in the curriculum? Okay, because it's not anywhere, and the earlier I learn it, the earlier I'll be able to adopt to it. Are you thinking about something like that?
That's actually absolutely true. I am partnering with a number of organizations in order to provide the solutions that I do. And just last week, actually, I was with Capital Markets Authority at one of the universities in Kigali, trying to deliver the importance of saving money out of your pocket money as a student. And I will be doing another one for a group of students as well from the diaspora in the middle of the month. So it is a very big part of what I do. You are 100% right. Learning how to manage your money earlier is extremely important. The younger you are, the better, because when it comes to money management, the most important resource. So again, there are many solutions that we have. Not one size doesn't fit everyone.
Yeah, sure.
But we are looking into all sectors.
You can be part of this conversation by sending a comment or a question on our Twitter handles at RBA Rwanda at RTV English, and mine at Ime Mulekateto. You can even go to Facebook at RTV English, at RB Rwanda, and mine at Ime Mulekatete. And I'm very sure Isaac will be ready to answer those questions. You can even send them after the session and he will be willing to answer them. Now, the reason why I'm saying that, I have a question from Mugisha John. Okay, we have many questions that come in from our audiences. There is a disconnect between Rwandans' knowledge of or awareness of cash management practices and their behavior. What's your take on that?
Again, there's always going to be a disconnect between knowledge and practice. If we don't have a medium, a system to translate knowledge to practice. So success through perspective by design is a consultancy. What we're trying to do is help people take their knowledge and apply it. And that's what we mean by success. That's in fact what success is, being able to take life-giving knowledge and apply it on a day-to-day basis. And so I think that one of the things that we want to do with to address this question is apply the information that we have into solutions with our smart saving, smart spending, and smart investing programs. It's not enough to know. You have to do once you know.
How are we going to change that behavior? You know, there's a theory about behavior change. Unless someone realizes that they actually have that problem, they will never ever work on it. Do we know that actually that problem is there? Do we accept that?
I hope that I am, in addition to educating on money management, I hope that I'm making enough noise about how serious the problem is. Living paycheck to paycheck is a real problem. Living paycheck to paycheck solves your immediate need of having food in your stomach and a roof over your head. But the long-term problem of not being able to manage your needs when you retire, your needs when you have an emergency, your needs when there's an emergency of a non-dependent family member, the community needs, all of these are long-term and medium-term needs that aren't catered for when you live paycheck to paycheck. So we very much want to make noise about how serious the problem is when it comes to money management, but that's not just my company. The government is doing a fantastic job trying to push the civilian population to understand the importance of long-term investment and of long-term saving. So I'm not alone. There's so many organizations and government itself invested in this.
I've heard you talk about financial independence. Define that for us. Who's a financial independent person?
I have a definition that I use that I borrowed from an author called Robert Kiyosaki. He wrote a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, forgive me. And he defines what he promotes as a definition of financial independence is being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. And that is time freedom is what he was talking about. One other element that I like to talk about financial independence is understanding how long you can live if your main income source ends today. That's a very, very, also not mine, it's the author David Bach wrote that. And the idea there is that most people define wealth as how much money you make. And this is, in my view, an incorrect definition of wealth. Because if you make $1,000, if you make $1,000,000 francs a month, and yet you spend 1.2 million, you live at a negative 200,000.
That's very common.
Your status. So you make a lot of money, but your spending erodes everything that you have and ties you into debt. And so what we're trying to say is wealth defined by how long you can survive if your main income source stopped today, if your salary stopped today. Now, the majority of the world, most income earning people, according to statistics, would survive 3 weeks to 6 months.
That's a lot, because by 20th, the money is done. Life would come crumbling down.
Debtors are knocking on your door. Yes. So what we want to do is we want to, like I mentioned before, take our money, a portion of it save it, a portion of it invest it. The reason why, savings creates a cash asset that you have that is tied to the future. Investing provides you with income, extra income. It's an income earning asset that brings more money into your coffers, into your accounts at home, because you're investing in something that creates wealth in and of itself. So it's so important for us to understand that instead of buying that or taking a lease for a new car,
Yep.
instead of looking for a brand new flat screen TV to put into your house, instead of trying to match the expectations of society, the first thing that we should do in the interest of our family, in the interest of our future, in the interest of our legacy, is invest in assets that will help us grow. Plant our seed, don't eat it.
Sure. We've been talking about financial management, financial literacy, but there's one thing that we shouldn't forget. Debt management is very important in this particular issue. But before we come back to that, we take a very short break. We'll be right back. Please stay here with us, RTV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's still financial matters on the Big Q today. A little twist on how you're going to be able to spend your money and still save it or be an effective money manager. Isaac, debt management, how are you including this or incorporating it in your trainings to ensure that if I manage my finances well, I'll still have to manage my debts?
I think one of the things that we're trying to do, especially with the financial literacy element, the financial training, is to understand the difference between good debt and bad debt from a personal level. If you are acquiring debt in order to purchase a liability, if you're getting a loan in order to purchase something that doesn't give you money, then you are, in essence, putting yourself in a very compromising position, especially if it is majority financed versus majority cash. So if I wanted to buy a new car, which it's not a bad thing to want new things.
Yes.
If I wanted to buy a new car and I gave a bank 10% of the cost of the car and I asked to finance 90% of it, that puts me in a very, very, very precarious situation, especially if I don't have very many assets to support that loan. Because that means that I owe the bank a lot more than what I've given them. And so that causes problems for me. What I would recommend we do, or what we train, is to save up well in advance of your need of debt. So if you want to buy a house, which of course a mortgage is so much better than rent. That's another thing that we teach. It's so much better to have a mortgage than to rent a house, because when you rent, you're living in a hotel. Yeah. You can be there for 10, 20 years.
But you'll have to live.
And you come out and all the money that you've paid in rent stays with the landlord. So it's so much better to mortgage than to rent, because you are paying back the bank bit by bit to own the house that you're living in. The only thing that we want to add there is the debt management element, where we say, save up save up for your house well in advance of your purchase of the house. So if you're going to buy a house in 10 years from now, start saving for your house now, so that in 10 years from now you might have 60, 70% of the value of the home, and then you finance 40 or 30%.
Problem is that we do not plan.
No, we
I
don't.
cannot say now that probably in 10 years I want to build.
That's
I
right.
want to start now. Now I want to build.
That's
And then that's when we see. You know why I'm raising that is because there have been many houses that have been auctioned, and you see someone just, their life just stops.
That's
At some point they were this high, and then they are nowhere. Now I bring in a question of Mugwaneza Betty, who says that a target of 1.5 million of Rwandans to be financially independent by 2020, is that achievable?
This is another question that is often raised. I think that it is achievable, especially if it's not done by one organization, especially because there is so much drive in our country to get Rwandans further closer towards financial independence, individually defined, because financial independence, again, is not a one-size-fits-all.
Relative.
It's very relative. But the fact that our government, our institutions, the political will, even the social will that we have here, people want to move away from hand to mouth or from paycheck to paycheck living. People want to be more accountable to themselves and to their families about the way that they manage their money. So if we're talking about STP alone, that would be an extremely ambitious goal. But if we're talking about the collective interest of the Rwandan people, then I think that that's a very realistic, plausible a goal.
And now the last question from the audience, Tendo Immaculate wants to know about the long-term savings and investment tools that can secure them a financial future.
That's a very good question. I have created a product within my company which is called Smart Saving. One of our key products is called Smart Saving. And essentially what we've done is we've negotiated with a few banking partners to provide us with high interest rates for our individual small amounts of savings. So it still takes the group saving concept, but it's not exactly a SACCO because we don't pool the money into one account. And so what that does is, number one, it locks your savings into an account for 5 years, which is automatically renewable unless you cancel it. Number two, we recommend 3 to 5% of your income go into that savings account automatically on standing order. So what that does, to answer her question very directly, is that it takes away the need of discipline. Oh, I need to go to the bank today, it's a savings day. You make a decision once that is positive, life-giving for your financial status, your financial situation, and it is enacted on your behalf consistently every day of the same day of every month for an extended period of time. So essentially it's like a savings tax. You're taxing yourself and you're paying yourself in the future. That's really what we're doing. It's your money, it stays in your account, but it is to pay you in the future.
Very good. Now, Isaac, as we wind up, let's go a little personal. Do you walk the talk?
Do I walk the talk?
Yes.
That's a very good question. Yes, I do save.
Okay.
I do invest. I invest in myself quite a bit.
Are you a member of the STP, first
Yes,
of all?
I am.
Along the fact that you're a CEO, and are you a member?
I am a member of the program myself. I have a savings account. And I am currently actively growing the number of merchants who are providing us with discount solutions for smart spending. So I am definitely leading from the front, not
Very
from the
good.
back.
And how many members do you have so far now, and what your target is probably 5-10 years from now?
Right. Right now we are just over 100. We are looking for, and that's from February this year. And a lot of that is pre-sale. So 100 both, actually close to 150 both registered with savings program and anticipating pre-sale for our spending programs. And so we are growing quite at a good rate prior to having some of our spending programs. And we're about to secure both a fuel solution for our members and a cooking gas solution for our members, so we can get discounts on both of those items. And so I expect before the end of the year for us to breach the 1,000 member mark, and
before the close of the year.
Before the close of the year.
So that brings me to ask, what communication tools are you using? In Rwanda, we have very good programs, but then you realize they're not marketed as they have to be marketed. What tools are you using to ensure that we get to know about this?
Yes, actually right now we've just been discussing this yesterday with a new partner, developing a marketing, social media, and or media in general, marketing strategy for us. And so the idea there is to get on Facebook, to get on Twitter, to develop our mobile application of our own, and on a YouTube as well, to deliver trainings, to deliver information, to gather data from our savers and spenders on what they want to save money on, what they want to spend collectively on, and also to help them project and manage their money better. So we're looking at efficiency solutions using mobile applications and social media, of course, to get the word out. What we definitely want to do is get the word out when we have the actual products available for people to make use of.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for watching as well, and thanks a lot for the questions. You can learn how to be an effective money manager. It is your money. At the end of the day, you want to celebrate the fact that you've worked so hard for it. But at the end of the day, you also want to secure your future. So learn more about it. You can go to STP, you can go to Minecofin, you can find out whichever ways you're going to be an effective or a sound money manager of your money. I'm Imi Molekatete, and that is it for this week. Until next week, keep watching RTV. A lot will be coming your way in our programming. Be well and be blessed.